fuck is that? Uh, to clap cheeks? Okay, hold on. I want to watch this. Wait, I want to watch
This guy
this.
invents invisibility powers and uses it to spy on his coworkers and recreate Among Us. Sus. A rat runs to a cage and immediately gets trapped. What are you gonna do, little rat? How
Fuck?
will you get away? Uh-oh. Little Shredder doesn't get any more screen time. He gets eaten by an invisible monster. Okay, here's our main hero. We can see by the size of his head,
Is that
he's a
Kevin
genius.
Bacon?
The big head devours Twinkies with coffee and programs some biological stuff. Science.
I'll watch that
Apparently,
next.
he's in the middle of some scientific puzzle, but the girl next door keeps distracting him. Alas, the curtains come down. Darn. It seems this has stimulated his circulation and it gave his brain just what he needed. A eureka moment. He solves the mystery, stabilizing the biological thing. Immediately, he calls his colleague to share the good news. The genius's name is Sebastian, and it looks like his colleague, Linda, is also his ex-girlfriend. Looks like Sebastian and his team have been trying to crack something called reversion for 11 months and have finally solved the puzzle. But come on,
Goddamn.
11 months? I've seen people speedrunning Spore in an hour. It's basically the same thing.
True.
Excited, Linda wakes up her new boyfriend, Matt, who's also her colleague
Thanos?
and works in a team with Sebastian, who doesn't know about their relationship yet. Sebastian rushes to his lab in his Porsche. Yep, these scientists get paid well. Sebastian enters his lab with
Josh
voice
Brolin,
authorization.
Thanos.
We see a zoo. There are different animals and some seem to be invisible. Oh, so that's what they're working on. Invisibility. We see Matt giving medicine to Isabel, an invisible gorilla that is still a bit dizzy after eating Shredder. That's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles reference if you didn't understand. Matt puts on his thermal glasses and enters the cage, and gets bitten. There's no way that gorilla wouldn't tear him limb from limb. Just ask Joe Rogan. The gorilla gets out and it's Planet of the Apes time. The question is, if apes take over the world and no one sees them, did it really happen? Matt goes on a chase and slams into Sebastian, who immediately starts teasing him. $10 say I nail her first. Is this about Linda? Oh, you mean the gorilla. Challenge accepted. They chase it down and start shooting away with tranquilizers, but Matt
Dumb
misses from
fuck.
like 2 feet away. Skill issue. Using his aimbot, Sebastian wins easily. Matt promises to give him
Easy.
those $10 later, but we all know those people never pay up. We meet Sarah,
True.
the best vet in the state, who for some reason is against scientific tests on animals. Meanwhile, Sebastian tries to find out who's the boyfriend of her ex, but Linda keeps it private. Okay, less romance, more science. We meet the other team members ready for some action. The plan, make the gorilla visible
Damn,
again.
she's hot.
That's the whole reversion
redheaded
thing they were
chick.
talking about.
Rather really
Apparently it's
hot,
easy
but-
to make something invisible, but not the reverse. Luckily,
Shredder?
a Brainiac here just solved the
the dude
mystery.
in metal
After
armor.
injecting Isabel,
Exactly,
we see the
Shredder's a
formula
rat.
spreading through
I
the
know,
gorilla's
what the
body,
fuck?
and everything seems normal. Slowly, it becomes visible again.
What?
But then ouch, it starts hurting bad. They begin defibrillating Isabel.
The
And yes,
fuck
it
is
works.
CGI?
Finally. Those organs were looking pretty gross. Are you telling me we all look like that underneath? The team looks happy for Isabel, who becomes much more peaceful. But Sebastian wants to slice the monkey's brain out as soon as possible. You gotta collect the data. This triggers Sarah, but then they all party and everything's fine. As the team celebrates,
Exactly,
Sebastian
Splinter's the
sulks
rat,
alone.
dude.
Linda asks him what's wrong, and he explains that he needs to chase after something. Now that the big mystery is solved,
Wait, let's see if
he
there.
already's
Alright,
bored.
$20 has at least one comment about that. At least one. Okay, really? No one? No one? No one? Oh my god. Okay, well, chat, you owe me $20.
You know what you need? A girlfriend. No, not your ex one. Come on, man. There's so many fish in
The
the sea.
fuck?
Sebastian is smooth, but Linda refuses to travel on that old road again. Sadly, Sebastian retreats to his animal farm to get some invisible dog love. If no one saw it, it never happened.
Ugh!
He pets the dog and wonders to himself what it's like to be invisible. Foreshadowing moment. The scientists arrive at the Pentagon to report on their success, but Sebastian decides to hide the fact his reversion breakthrough worked. The Pentagon staff look demoralized. What do we give you tax money for? We need results as soon as possible. Or no more Porsche for you. Seems like Sebastian here has got another plan. He's scared that the Pentagon will take over now that the project is a success.
Damn, that's a sick ass. Look at that suit though. I like that combo with the purple and the like the dark red magenta type.
Decides he wants to take the experiment to phase 3 all on his own.
That's some
That's
Magneto
right,
type shit.
human trials. At
That's
least Sarah
hard.
will be happy. No more animal testing. But Matt and Linda aren't impressed. They argue, talking about rules and stuff. Procedures, schmoshedures. Who cares about them? Sebastian
Fuck
believes that he's a
'em.
scientific
Fuck
rock star and he wants to
'em!
change the world. They buy into it and the trio speeds off. At the lab,
how many
the
gonna
nerdy
start-
trio
how many
lies
gonna
to the
start
rest of
getting
the
top?
team that their human test is all
That's all
legal.
I'm here for.
Sure. Sebastian volunteered for it. When the team realizes that this
Surely.
is their chance to get rid of Sebastian, they seem okay with it. Okay, let's make our doc invisible. The next day, they begin. His colleagues remind him that it's not too late to stop, but our boy is dedicated to dying in the name of science. The Alpha Sebastian puts on his birthday suit and hops onto the table. Meanwhile, the team decides who gets his Porsche when the chief becomes a casualty. Slowly, they inject invisibility juice and the process begins. A little itchy in the arm, in the back. Whoa, that escalated quickly. Doc is in severe pain. He's moments away from getting a seizure. His
What
pulse
the
bumps up and the heart dances the last
fuck?
tango. But Sebastian takes it like a man and things start to stabilize. Abracadabra. Now he's invisible. Let's celebrate. But first, we gotta wait for Sebastian to get out of his coma. 17 hours later, and Sebastian wakes up. He immediately asks them to turn the lights off. His eyelids are transparent, so he literally can't close his eyes.
Oh,
Wait a second.
shit.
If all light passed through you, wouldn't your eyes stop working
Yeah,
and you'd be
like,
blind?
what?
Can someone with a 200 IQ explain, please? Anyway, Sebastian starts playing Marco Polo with his team. It's okay though. They've got thermal glasses and cameras to follow his movement. It's nighttime and the team goes for a rest. Everyone except for Sarah, who's on the night shift, watching her lab mouse Sebastian. Sarah drinks some coffee and then immediately goes to sleep. I don't think that's how that works. But Sebastian is now awake. What would you do if you were invisible? He decides to visit Sarah and do some scientific research. Suddenly, Sarah awakens, and she has no idea what happened. The door to her room is open, and Sneaky Pete is not in his bed. Then boom, Sneaky Pete is back. Looks like he still has to work on his stealth, but it's enough to confuse Sarah. The next day, she tells her story to the team. Everyone's a little suspicious, but not quite enough yet. Later, we catch Sebastian getting a little flirty with Sarah once more. Meanwhile, Janice goes to the ladies' room, but it seems like she's not alone. She checks things out with her glasses, and it seems like she is. God forbid there's an invisible monkey in the toilet. You never know. Seems like everyone's already nervous about our invisible buddy. Indeed, it's uncomfortable having Dr. Perv around. But he's loving every second of it, even eavesdropping on their conversations. Now, time to mess around with Linda. First, we do the cola can trick. Then, he moves in. This man has no game. Finally, we get to the day when it's time to make Sebastian visible again. The injection hits hard. Man can't breathe. The team tries to incubate him, but he goes berserk and kicks everyone around. Now, he's even lost his pulse. They're losing him. Matt starts doing CPR, but before he can kiss him, Sebastian comes back. And then, gone again. Back to invisible. Later, he recovers and Lyndon tells him he almost died. But then he quotes the great Kanye West. Whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Then, he gets some new drip. A mask and some sunglasses. Looking pretty fly. Is it just me, or does he look like Deadpool? 10 days later, the situation gets tense. Sebastian goes through some painful tests, and they still can't figure out why he didn't become visible. One day during a night shift, Greg enjoys some pre-internet entertainment. Meanwhile, Sebastian gets extremely tired of sitting in a lab for so long. Not sure what the problem is. I haven't left my house since quarantine. Wait, you can go back outside? Oh. Anyway, Sebastian decides quarantine is not for him and goes for a walk outside. At least he has his own mask, but this is totally against the rules. If someone spots him, it's the end of the whole project. Luckily, he remembers that he's literally invisible and also gets to make the rules and proceeds to do whatever he wants. Greg immediately calls the team. It's time for a hunt. Usually my boss is the one hunting me down. I poop slow. Sue me. Meanwhile, Sebastian is enjoying his freedom and his Porsche while scaring kids on the road. He gets back home and grabs some Twinkies. Suddenly, he spots his neighbor. Uh-oh. Sebastian takes off his mask and goes full beast mode. He rings the girl's door. She looks through the peephole, but of course can't see anyone. I'm invisible around the girls I like too. He rings the bell again and the girl steps outside. He seizes the moment and sneaks right in. Inside, he pulls the ultimate prank. He moves her mirror up. Epic prank. Unfortunately, we'll have to cut back to Linda. She gets to his home and sees he's taken his mask off and is somewhere else. This can't be good. The team gets their tranquilizers to hunt down the doc and they're super excited. Oh darn, he's back. Fun ruined. The team is livid at Sebastian, but he reminds everyone that he's the boss. I wonder if it's more or less intimidating to know he's in his birthday suit. That must count as workplace harassment. Linda promises to go to the Pentagon if he tries this again.
This is like if an Activision employee was able to become invisible. I'm sorry.
Because it would risk her career too. Because Linda said this, Sarah realizes the whole project is Sebastian's idea and that the Pentagon isn't even aware of what they're doing. Then the team wonders if being invisible for too long has affected his mind. Later, while doing some tests, Greg asks Sebastian if he did anything worth talking about. You know, persons can recognize each other. He shares that he did indeed scare one girl, but he also liked it. Which is one way to deal with rejection, I guess. Greg is impressed and thinks it's super cool. At night, Linda awakens from a nightmare, probably about Sebastian and his creepy ways. Then she gets a call. It's Matt. He found the way to reverse invisibility. Finally, the team gathers at the lab again. The stability meter keeps going up, but once it hits 95, it breaks down. Sorry, Sebastian. You'll remain hollow for a little while longer. He rages on Matt for being such a noob. but he's probably just jealous that he almost solved it. Later, Sebastian complains to Linda about his invisibility. He hates the fact that he can't use it and believes it to be a gift. I don't know, so far he's been pretty lame with it. At least rob a bank.
Yeah, doing
Sebastian
superhero
goes
thing. Do
back to his
something, like,
bed
cool
and then
or rob
suddenly
people,
realizes
like, fuck.
something. The camera. Why don't I just hack it? That's what scientists in movies usually do, right? Sebastian heads out and we see he's leveled up his sneak ability. He bunks this hobo and then climbs up this apartment. Looks like it's Linda's. He sees Matt in there. Uh-oh. Your ex with your biggest
Oh,
rival. What you gonna do? Throw a brick in their window, of course.
what the
Linda
fuck?
immediately calls Frank to see if Sebastian is still in the lab. Affirmative. They don't know what we know. What they need to do is just cover the floor in flour. That ought to solve things. Meanwhile, Sebastian is back in the lab, extremely mad and jelly. So much so that this barking dog gets on his nerves. So, he sends it
Oh,
to the farm. Can this guy get any more pathetic? Looks like he's about to set the record. I don't think even James Cameron can raise the bar for how low he's let things sink.
what
You
the
get it because it's the
fuck?
Titanic?
I'll watch what you send me next.
The next
I wanna
morning,
forget.
Sarah finds that the pup has passed on and immediately approaches Sebastian. He denies everything in his usual polite way. Nighttime strikes once more, which means it's peeking time. At her home, Linda can sense his presence, so she throws a blanket to see if he's there. Smart move. Something was indeed there for a moment, so she rushes to the lab. Those cameras won't fool her. She checks for Sebastian and
Yep,
confirms
he's
that he's
gone.
indeed gone. Then she spots his hacking tools. Very cool. The team gathers up and decides it's time to turn themselves into the Pentagon. Matt and Linda take a ride to the project manager. He's very angry and fires them immediately. As he's about to call all the generals, the telephone line is cut.
Oh,
He goes outside
shit.
and we can see that Sebastian is looking on from a distance. Suddenly, he greets the man and takes him for a swim.
Oh.
The fight lasts mere moments, and in the end, he's drowned. The following day, everyone's in the lab. Linda has yet to hear back from the Pentagon and she's nervous. She calls in and finds out he swam to death. She tries to reach out to the other generals, but the line is cut.
Oh.
Linda and Matt try to go outside, but the elevator doesn't recognize
What
their
the
codes.
fuck?
Stupid machines. They try a few more times, but then realize something's up. The team hacks into the system. What is it with
Hacking.
scientists and hacking? And realize they're trapped, and Sebastian is the one who did it. Among Us moment. I think I never actually played the game. The team gear up and get to
Oh my
hunting.
God.
As for Janice, she gets left behind. Too bad for her. One down,
Oh,
many more to go.
shit.
The team can't find Sebastian. They call him on a lab line asking him to stop, but he's gone far too deep. He confirms that he killed the manager guy and now he'll get rid of anyone who tries to stop him. The freedom of invisibility
He's
is just
fucking
too
lost
tempting.
it.
The team wonders where Janice went. Wasn't she right behind them? Uh-oh.
Nope.
She's gone. It
He's
appears she's
fucking
died
dead right
due to
there.
death. The team starts to argue with one another, but then realizes they need to band together to fight, or else the invisible dude is gonna make them disappear. The team activates motion detectors and finds Sebastian sneaking in some quarters. The boys load up their tranquilizers and go hunting. But where is he? Behind the pipes. Matt shoots, but no, it's just a vent. Surprise! Greg gets choked.
Oh,
Kinky.
fuck.
Matt shows his incredible shooting skills again, as he shoots everything except Sebastian. At least he makes him let go of Greg. Oh, okay. Matt proceeds to shoot down some heat pipes, but then gets thrown by Sebastian. Now there's warm air all over the place and he can't detect Sebastian. To make matters worse, he's out of bullets. Not that that matters with the aim of a stormtrooper. Nonetheless,
Glenn,
he's ready
sorry.
for some one-on-one
Sorry, I know
action.
it's you.
He looks
Sorry.
pretty tough, but can he win against what is essentially a shadow? I always run scared from mine. Matt takes a fire extinguisher to spot Sebastian while
Smart.
the latter sneaks around. Sebastian pulls ahead in
Fuck.
battle, but luckily Linda saves him right on time. Meanwhile, Sarah and Frank tend to Greg, who's bleeding out. So Sarah runs to get some blood.
Greg.
Frank believes it's a bad idea to split up, but Sarah hasn't seen many horror movies.
Not Greg,
and at this
dude.
point, wants to leave this one. It looks like she's about to be next, but then she gets a bright idea. She starts spilling the bags of blood everywhere to see Sebastian. Unfortunately, he was behind her the entire
Aw,
time. But he
shit.
slams into her and gets some blood spilled on him, but it's no matter. He's too strong and shoots her with the tranquilizer. Then gives her a chiropractic adjustment. Snippety snap.
Oh, fuck.
Meanwhile, Matt and Linda find Frank and see Greg dying. Well, at least they're all together now. But that doesn't help much, as Frank gets stabbed from behind with a crowbar.
Damn.
Turns out we were watching Half-Life
Bro,
3
he
all
going
along.
fucking crazy.
Sebastian manages to get Matt too, heavily wounding him. Then
He like a
locks
fucking-
Linda and
he's like
Matt
a
in the
4-kill
fridge and
multi
changes the
right
temperature
now.
to -30. That's a cold-hearted way to do him in. The resourceful Linda manages to stitch Matt's wound, while Sebastian gets his mask and clothes on. I'm surprised he's not the one freezing to death with all that ice-cold drip.
Damn.
Before leaving the lab, he decides to make some makeshift explosives. Meanwhile, Matt falls unconscious and Linda is in shock. But it's no time for frozen tears. It's time to keep a cool head. I'm sorry. Linda goes
good
into
one.
Brainiac mode and constructs an electromagnet. She uses it to undo the lock. Big brain moment.
Oh,
She better hurry up since
shit.
Sebastian's about to blow the whole place up. He's like me when I discovered proximity mines on GoldenEye. Linda manages to open the door. Nicely done. She gets a flamethrower and meets up with Sebastian at the elevator. How about some barbecue? Linda burns him to a crisp.
Oh!
Wonder how he's still moving. Uh-oh, he's gone again. Linda triggers the sprinklers and sees that he's right behind her. How is he okay right now? Like his whole body should be on fire and now it's all
Bro,
wet.
yeah,
This
like
doesn't make any
what?
sense. A brutal fight begins and Linda's losing it. But not so fast. Matt is here, back from the dead. He slams Sebastian
Sup,
with the
pussy?
crowbar and then just walks away.
Thanos,
Come
King
on,
of
man.
Chud once
Finish
again.
him. Sebastian gets up and goes for revenge, but then gets electrocuted. He
Ah!
was well done before, and now he's definitely deep fried. With that
Yep.
dealt with, Linda and Matt find the bomb, but it's too late. They head for the elevator and climb up the shaft. As they're climbing,
What,
the bomb
Glenn?
explodes. Uh-oh, the elevator is flying up, and it almost
Oh.
smashes them. Okay, we're in the clear now.
Damn.
Oh, wait, it's coming back down.
Oh.
They barely escape getting chopped and proceed to exit.
Shit.
However, a few stairs up, and boom, it's Sebastian. He grabs Linda's leg and tries to get her
What
down.
the
How does he keep
fuck?
surviving these things? He manages to throw Linda down onto the
Oh,
elevator.
shit.
He insists for one last kiss, for old time's sake. Linda obliges, but uses the moment to unplug the elevator and throw Sebastian down.
Dumbass.
Okay, no way he's surviving this one. Matt and
Surely.
Linda survive and get out of the lab. Pretty good ending. Now it's off to a romantic getaway to military prison. Moral of the story? Among Us.
What the fuck?